they asked me to ask Ted Cruz a question, and I didn't get paid for it. I went in the elevator, I asked him a question. He was just him and I. He burped and farted and did not answer my question.
I made espresso this morning and I put it in a big ass espresso maker, like, do you know those mocha pots?
Yeah.
And I put way too much in there. I put a shitload. And so now I've been drinking it and guzzling it like water, and I feel my heart pounding a million miles a second. But the perfect guest to make me feel calm and safe is my friend Jack. Jack and I, we started at the same company together.
Well, our paths did cross.
Passed across at the company? At
Yeah.
the company? Well, because so our story was I was working in the unscripted department and I was feeling like a lone ranger, free and wild. And I was like, how do I navigate the politics of the office? And then this king walks through the door and I had met my maker. I had met the other half of me, and Jack has made me feel so sane, saying what I want and being free in my personality and living my authentic self. Truly, truly, truly.
Not trying to make you feel sane.
No, you're invalidating my insanity. And Jack came in and he just made me feel okay to just be free in who I was, because I feel like navigating office politics makes you feel like a crazy person. And you were like, no girl, I'm here, I got you. Just by you existing made me feel more at peace in myself. So that is why I wanted Mr. Jack on the podcast. And he's also like seen me build it, because it was when I was in that department that Jack was seeing me like talk about it and have guests on and get kind of stressed about it. He helped me make this little postcard, not the postcard.
Yes.
Well, I overprinted it, so it looks a little jank, but saying like he helps me do this moment. So Jack has very much been a part of Barely Scraping By. So I wanted to have him on to kind of share his story and share what he's about.
Well,
and I want to
thank you.
pass the mic over to you, Mr. Jack. And
I've been
you can
waiting for this for so long. I've been waiting for this for so long. When I was designing the cover, I knew I was like, I have to cash in on an episode of this. And eventually I thought she was never going to do it. But here I am.
You didn't think I was going to do it?
No, I didn't think you were going to do it.
No, I want, like I said in the last episode, I want people on this season that make me feel like a person and make me feel like I am okay to exist in who I am. And so I feel like you are the exact person I wanted to showcase just that and have on my favorite thing to do is the pod.
Let's roll it, bitch.
So let's get a little into it, Jack, before we get into the fun little questions that I printed. What brought you here? What brought you to LA? What brought you to the entertainment industry? And like, how'd you get here on this fine little seat in front of me?
Oh my God. Okay, so I am from a small town outside of Houston, Texas. Literally like 4,000 people, cows and horses and shit all over the place. Like had chickens growing up. Very, very removed from this world. And I never thought that this was possible. And up until I was in like, I want to say 7th or 8th grade, I wanted to go into film. But everyone around me didn't see anything past like oil or like finance. And they just didn't understand that this was a viable path for anyone. And so I kind of threw that and kind of like choked it up. And I decided that, you know what, I can do something that has to do with cameras and has to do with storytelling. And so I pivoted my mind towards journalism. And throughout the course of 5 or 6 years, I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hate myself and be a masochist and move to Washington, D.C. and go into political journalism. And it took me about 3 years to realize that that was not the vibe and that I actually liked my life. And near the end of college, I realized when I was seeing other people that were just a few years older than me that were moving out to LA, I started realizing that working in entertainment was actually something that I could do. And so I started networking, reaching out to people. And then I graduated last May and I moved out here last July with my boyfriend.
And now here he is.
Yes. And then I was like unemployed for like 2 months and I felt so worthless. It was so hard. And everyone told me like, you'll find something. And I thought there's no way. It was so impossible. Even though I had some connections out here, it paled in comparison to what everyone else had out here. And I felt so little. And so I just felt like a little fucking ant. And then I found something and then it took off. So yeah.
And
so it's been fun.
What department are you working in right now?
Communications. We're a mighty team of 2, which is a lot of fun, honestly. Like it's a lot of responsibility, but it also gives me a lot of freedom to like voice my opinion and kind of really get in the dirt with PR and stuff like that. So
before I get into like, the nitty gritty of what you do and what you're about and kind of like diving deeper, I want to do a little segment that we're introducing to the pod called the Body Boots.
The Body Boot.
The Body Boot is a dirty, dusty little thing that I wanted to incorporate because it brings my...
She likes getting your... Yeah.
No, she likes getting... Finish that.
There's a twitch when you stick your fist in it.
Oh, always. Always. And this is why I love Jack. No, but I wanted to bring the Body Boot because in the Body Boot are some baddie questions and I want you to dive your little hand in there and make it twitch so then you could, no answer, and then we can get into the question.
I'm so fucking dead. Okay.
Bring her out. We are an HR violation walking around, I swear.
What's the cheapest you've ever worked for, and why did you say yes? Am I allowed to answer this? I've like,
out of all the questions in the baddie boot, of course, that lands on you. God, you are good and you exist.
my
I know
God.
you exist.
okay, so to my previous point about wanting to go into journalism, a lot of the journalism internships are actually paid. And so and
journalism?
in DC. And so like as an hourly intern, I was not allowed overtime, but sometimes I had to just like fucking roll it and do it. And they sent me to the Capitol and they asked me to ask Ted Cruz a question, and I didn't get paid for it. I went in the elevator, I asked him a question. He was just him and I. He burped and farted and did not answer my question. He walked away, and I walk out, and it's fucking Mitch McConnell, and he goes, "Hey, boy." It was so bad. I was there for 7 hours because it was during
my God.
it was during a government shutdown, and I didn't get paid for it.
That is truly everything. You sat
But you know
in
what's
his
the story
farts. You sat and you breathed in his fart
And
air.
I said yes because I thought sometimes you just have to do things for the plot.
1,000%. And
Yeah.
Jack, literally, you are the person who just happens to find themselves in the moment, and you're not even doing it for the plot. You're just doing it to have a good time, and it always turns into a story.
Somehow.
But okay, you're running communications for a worldwide company. You are with just
yes.
one other person. How do you go from recent grad to essentially co-managing an entire department?
There's a lot of trust that I've built with my boss over the past year. And I think we are codependent in a way at work. And we kind of have gotten to a point where we can finish each other's sentences, finish each other's emails, finish each other's work and assignments. And that is the only way why we are able to push forward and get everything done. Now, when I joined a year ago, we weren't a worldwide company. We've doubled in the past year. There's a shitload more people that we have to manage and deal with. And our team has not doubled. We're still 2 people. And so if we had, 4 or 5 people, it would be a different story. The only way that we're able to do this is because we trust each other and because we know that like the other person, when they say that they're going to finish something, that they will do it. But I don't know. That doesn't make it easy, but I do think that it's not supposed to be easy. And I think that trial by fire is actually really helpful at this stage of a career because you learn really how to do things right. And you also learn how to admit whenever you do things wrong. And so I've appreciated that part of it.
No, it's insane because when you first started out, it was just the New York and LA office,
Yeah.
and now they're based around the world in
We have like
Spain.
16, well, we have more than 16 offices, yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure.
it's Jack and his boss.
Yeah.
Running the show. So when I'm telling you that Jack has a lot on his shoulders and a lot to do, I'm not lying. And it's just insane to see you go at that and navigate that. And like leading this question, you always joke about, oh, I'm a bad assistant. I can't even answer the phones. I can't even do Cal invites. Like,
I'm a bad assistant,
you always
yeah.
like say that, but you're single-handedly like planning the Tony's party, the Emmys party, and like global communications. What's the disconnect between how you see yourself and what you're actually accomplishing?
That's a really good question.
Maybe
because
I came prepped.
I do think at my company, I'm probably one of the worst assistants that they have because I genuinely like 2 days ago at work, the girl that sits next to me, she asked me how to like connect the phone to her cell phone. And I said, I don't know how to do that. Every time I need to do that, I ask someone else to do it for me. I genuinely just don't know how to do those things. But part of that is because when I came in, I wasn't a floater. And so I wasn't trained on any of that. And then immediately when I started, we just kind of like hit the ground running. And I didn't have an opportunity to learn all those like basic assistant things, which I do wish that I was able to do. And honestly, I could do it, but again, with just a 2-person team, it's really hard for me to find time to like invest in learning how the calendars work and shit like that. I just found out what dialogue was like 2 weeks ago.
And technically your title is assistant, but you're basically like a coordinator, co-managing the department, like I said. So why do you feel like there's that disconnect between like the things that are pushing you forward and like the day-to-day little minuscule things that don't really matter in the grand scheme?
Right. I think I do not go into work every day. I don't get in the elevator and tell myself, Jack, you're just a fucking assistant. You're just going to be a fucking assistant today for 9 hours. I don't tell myself that. Like I go into work and I do the things that I need to do because I feel a sense of pride in the things that our team has built over the past 11 months or so. And so it's one of those situations. And I think in entertainment specifically, like sometimes it's hard. You can't like really sit in or think about like what your title is or what you're supposed to be doing or what your role is. It's either you do or you're done. Like there is literally no in between. And I think entertainment in particular is an industry where titles they try to define who you are, but they actually don't at all define what you're doing. And depending on what desk you're on, what company you're at, what you're doing could look so different, even if you have the exact same job title as someone else. And so I like that about it. It's very, very dynamic, and it's not what I was expecting at all.
Oh, exactly. And I think sometimes you can get caught up in like all those little things as being an assistant, and like that title feels so like minuscule, but it's like when you remind yourself of the bigger picture and what you're doing to like, I don't want to use like work lingo, push the needle forward, but when you're like pushing something forward and you're a part of something and you're contributing to something bigger than you, and you know that you have a like factor to play in that, like how rewarding than being like, boo, poor me, you know? I said whore me.
You want me to whore you?
Hey,
you gonna pull the boot out again?
Can you give a little bit a background like of what you do and what the department's about? Because I think people hear communications and they're like, what are you doing? Like, what is this about? Can you kind of give a little background?
I still ask myself that same question all the time. The number one thing that the purpose of the communications team is to basically, in effect, be the publicist for the company as the entity, like as a whole. And so we agents represent clients. Our client is the agency itself. And so we, every day we go into work to try our best to ensure that our company is seen in the best possible light. But with that, it's complicated because there's obviously so many clients, and those individual clients and their success actually speaks to the success and the image of our agency. And so even if individual clients have their own publicists, sometimes we have to step in and we have to place stories on their behalf to make sure that it is very clear to the world that our agency represents this person that's doing an amazing thing. The other side of that in communications is that a lot of shit can go down and a lot of things can go wrong. And so at any given moment, someone's shit could get rocked, and we have to step in and try to manage like the PR, like the perspective that the industry will have. Because what some of those journalists at Deadline or Variety or Hollywood Reporter, what they write really carries so much weight and can actually affect a lot of the finances for a lot of projects. And so we just want to make sure that we position our clients and also the agency so that it doesn't negatively impact, which is the number one goal. And number two, to make sure that we are pushing ourselves forward, because we work at kind of I don't want to say a mid-tier agency, but we're not one of the biggest. And so we have tried our best to try to like push that to say, no, like we are fighting with the other ones and we are like up there with the big dogs and we're making shit happen. And so that's the main part of the job. And then there's the one-off events, social media, which ties into just like the public image of the company. It just, everything has something to do with the company's image and how we want to be perceived by the rest of the entertainment industry. So
how do you guys even go at attacking a problem of something? I know it's different because every problem is, you know, nuanced and has its variations, but how do you guys as a team know how to attack it and to like change the angle to make sure that like, okay, it's putting our client first, which is the company?
Well, step number one is the relationship. And so we work very closely with a lot of the journalists at the trades, and our relationships, whether it's my boss or whether it's the president of our company, those relationships, which could span 6 months or they could span 16 years, those relationships are the first step in making sure that a lot of the things that we're trying to push out there are actually like covered in the way that we want it to be covered. And the second part is just, it's friendliness. I mean, I feel like this industry attracts the best people and it attracts the worst fucking people in the world. And sometimes if you're just one of those good people in the industry, then people will return the favor to you sometimes. And so what I've learned is that if something has gone wrong and if we've needed a favor, those people who we have been kind to are kind back to us. And it's all relationships. And I think that speaks to every level, honestly, of this industry. A lot of problems can be solved if you just are already on a good page with somebody. Like if y'all fuck with each other, then you'll figure it out. And so you have to always make sure that you are, in my opinion, known to be a good person, known to be an honest person, and known to be somebody who will help someone out if they need the help. Does that make sense?
100%. I'm now understanding exactly what you do, and I didn't even fully understand it until you're telling me right now. I sometimes question exactly what I'm doing too. And sometimes I'll tell my boss, like, I don't think this is right. And he'll be like, no, Jack, this is right. I've done this for like 20 years. You're wrong and I'm right. And we're going to move on. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me write down this little lesson I just learned. And something that Jack is also doing is like he's pushing the company forward in the history in this project you're working on right now. Jack and I didn't work in the same department, but we worked by each other to lay the groundwork. But my old boss was like, hey, Claire, can you figure something out from the Academy Library? And I was like, sure, I can try my best. And I did not figure it out. And I called the Academy multiple times and they never called me back. And we got Mr. Jack on it. He went to the academy. He was literally flipping through old like books with white gloves. And were you white gloves or just like doctored gloves?
They were like blue, like rectal exam gloves. Yeah.
Rectal. You know, you were interviewing the presidents. You were like in the room with the top dogs of the company sitting there. And like, yeah, you're like, oh, I just went into so-and-so's office. And I was like, holy shit, Jack, that's massive. Like Jack is doing things that some assistants will never have access to, nor fully ever understand or be involved in. So like, where did this business background come from and these instincts to push something forward? Because I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't even think of a different avenue to take. And Jack was on it for what, a week? And then cut to him in the academy library flipping through, you know, old records. Like
we did get it figured out. They sent it in and I think that they got the assignment has been completed.
But exactly, I didn't figure that out.
It is definitely situational. I'm in a position right now where I'm able to try to make those moves. But at the same time, the caveat is that any assistants can do this shit. Like, it doesn't matter at what stage of a career that you're at. Like, if you are able and willing to help out with something, even if it's like above your pay grade, we hear a lot of people all the time talking about like, oh, that's above my pay grade. But like, it should be above our pay grade. We should be trying to like reach up to the next thing. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to progress. I think that, I don't know where that like mindset comes from, honestly. I just like wanted to do it. I wanted to do it for him.
No, you hit it on the head because it's like I'm seeing you do things that a lot of assistants feel they can't do, and a lot of people don't cross those lines that they make up for themselves. And I was curious, like, where you pull this business mindset from. I'm like, hey, I'm seeing this. I see an opportunity for me to try something new and, you know, help my boss and help myself by like improving my work or improving my day to day. And you're just constantly pushing the boundaries and like trying something new and throwing yourself at it with 100% of yourself.
I think it's really easy to just like not muster the energy or the strength to go up to somebody who is very much above your pay grade and above your level and like strike up a conversation. And I know you do that. And that's something that I respect so much about you. You have no fucking fear of going up to any of the senior agents or anyone at the top of the company and just like fucking it up. Like you have zero issue doing that. And I fucking love you for that. No, but it's true. And I think that it's this idea that a lot of people have constructed in their heads that if you're an assistant, you just you see, you don't tell, you don't do anything, you just like fucking sit there and your goal is to be a sponge and is to learn. But you can also contribute. You don't have to be a sponge. You can also be like a fucking, I don't know what the opposite of a sponge is. Like
a rock star.
Sure, you can be a fucking rock star. Like you can do the things. And like at the end of the day, let's say there's an agent that you want to go up to and you want to have a conversation with. They're not your fucking boss. So like, do it. You know what I mean? You can do it. Like who the fuck cares? Because at the end of the day, all of the people at the top of this industry were in this exact seat at some point in their career. And so they understand what it's like. And also all the people that are at the top were in this seat and were reaching out and being bold. None of the people that get to the top were like fucking meek and just like sat back and thought, oh my God, like they're way too big for me to talk to them. Like I can't do that. The people at the top were bold bitches like they had to be. And that's the only way to get up there. And so they respect if you reach out to them. They respect if you want to talk to them, if you want to help them out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that the people, when you're at the bottom, the people that you should be talking to are the people that are so fucking high up there because you know that everyone else around you at your level is probably too much of a pussy to do it.
Yup.
And you can't be a pussy.
Nope.
Like I said, in this industry, it's either do or be done. That's it.
Or you can be scared. You can have awkward conversations. You can be uncomfortable. You can be sitting there being like, what am I saying? I sound stupid. I'm not good enough. Da 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 da. But at least you're in the room.
Yeah.
You know, like you could be in head to toe so fearful of what you're doing and still do it. And that is something that I've tried to take on and I've tried to do and I've seen you do too. Truly, it's like that's a perfect segue into the question I wanted to ask is like you mentioned finding your voice and not being afraid to use it. Like that's something that I opened up the episode with of, you know, you being bold, you being out of pocket, you being funny, you being yourself. You're authentically yourself. And I truly believe that. What does that sound like in practice and how do you maintain the authenticity while being professional?
Well, sometimes it's impossible to do them both. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, oh, not that, Jack. Like, wait a minute.
Teriyaki bitch.
Ooh. And if you get the reference, you get the reference. That was, yeah.
That was perfect.
I would say quiet a little bit at the beginning.
At the beginning, yeah.
But I was also like learning. But as time went on, I realized that like, I'm going to be working like the rest of my fucking life. If I'm going to spend 9 hours a day in this hellhole, I have to be myself. Like this isn't Severance. Like what the fuck? I have to be myself. And if I get in trouble for being who I am at work, then this isn't the right place for me to be. And I was very adamant about that. And I also was adamant about that when I was interviewing for jobs. And I just like fucked with who is now my boss. And I like knew that we were going to get along. yeah, having the confidence to be yourself in an environment where everyone kind of tells you, shh, be quiet, like don't be yourself. It is so important because I think there's so much burnout in this industry that you can experience. But I think that burnout really comes if you're just not being yourself. If you're being yourself, then who the fuck cares?
You're speaking to me right now, mommy. You're speaking to me because I'm feeling a little bit of burnout. And that's going to be a common thread through this episode because that's how I'm feeling.
Do you feel, okay, I'm going to flip the question. Do you feel like you can be yourself and say things that you want to say at work?
No, not since I've moved departments. No. And it's not that my new boss is making me feel like that. It's that department is just run very old school and professionalism. This bullshit professionalism. You could be who you are and still do amazing work, but all this, you're not professional enough. You're not professional enough. You got to be a professional. I'm like, dude, I could be who I am and still, be the best at what I do. Yeah. What I mean, it's like, it always is like fighting that battle right now with myself and battling that authenticity with my work. And that's why I'm feeling a sense of burnout, as you said, because I'm not living my true self anymore.
That's it. You have to be yourself. And that's not just at work. That's in any aspect of your life. If you're not yourself, then you will get so sick of what you're doing. Like 10:30, 10:45 p.m. at night on Halloween when you're like sick of the costume and you want to take it off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's exactly where I'm at. And it's like, that is exactly the battle I'm facing. And
let me take this wig off. Let me take this Yeah. It gets to a point when you just want to be who you are, and being something else or someone else can be very tiring and exhausting.
Damn, I'm gonna come at work and be like, on Monday, I'll be saying all the little fun little words and be like, I just got a breath of life this past weekend.
Oh my God.
But, switching into the next question, you're advocating for coordinator while completely reimagining how the department operates because you are flipping it on its head. How are you positioning those like innovations as promotion worthy rather than just extra work?
Okay. Yes. So earlier I was saying that your title doesn't fucking matter, whatever, this and that. It actually does matter because it's a pay difference between being an assistant and a coordinator and something else. And so it actually does matter. It doesn't matter in terms of like what you're doing, but it does matter in terms of how people perceive you, right? And so at our company, if you're an assistant, you don't have your own email. Your entire identity is connected to your boss. I can't email a journalist and pitch a story with, my boss's name .asst@company.com. Like I can't do that because they're gonna be like, who's this bitch? Like what the fuck? I can't do that. And so for me to gain legitimacy with the press and also quite frankly to gain legitimacy with other executives in the company, I have to have my own separate identity so that I can actually accomplish things that are separate from my boss. That's why I've been pushing for it. I also think that for a long time now, I've been doing things that quite frankly just are like very much above my level. And I think I've also worked hard to make sure that my boss recognizes those things so that he advocates for it. And he does, and he's advocating for it too. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think, again, to the earlier point about working above your pay grade, like the only way to get ahead is to like do things that are beyond what you're supposed to be doing. You can't operate inside the box ever. That doesn't help you.
How do you like manage imposter syndrome and you're clearly performing like above your experience level? How do you manage like, I know we've touched base on this the whole time, but something that I face sometimes is like, I'm getting a lot of because I've said the burnout thing, like, what am I doing? What am I about? What's this? Like, how do you not have that internal conflict with yourself?
I do. And I think, and I don't know if this is an entertainment industry thing or if this is an LA thing, but I think that, and it's probably more of an LA thing, like it's really, really, really hard to feel like you fit in here. And so I think because of that, there's so many people in this city and particularly in entertainment that kind of put up this shield of being better than everyone else. And it's really, really easy to believe that. A lot of people here care so much about how they're being perceived that they're not so much focused on what they can actually accomplish. And I think that as much as I tell myself, oh, I don't know that I fit in here, it's really important to also stick true to the fact that like, I'm here to like get shit done and to like be fulfilling in my own work and what I'm doing, and also be happy without chasing some idea of what I'm supposed to look like to other people. And so it's difficult. And I don't think that struggle exists in the same way in other cities. I know New York is very similar to LA in that way. DC was very similar in that way, except DC was just a fucking mess. But yeah, I think imposter syndrome, anybody who's telling you that they do not experience that every single day is fucking lying to you. Everybody experiences it. And knowing that helps because you know that everybody is kind of looking at it in the same way.
Exactly.
And you could be a coordinator, you could be an agent. I mean, think about the agents that are not performing as well as they used to for reasons outside of their own control. I'm sure that they are experiencing it. And they're like, 20, 30 years older than us. And so I think it's important to like be okay with feeling that imposter syndrome and also processing it in the way that doesn't negatively impact your mental health because it's always going to exist.
I face that battle every day and I'm like, why do I, deserve this? Why do I deserve this desk? Why do I deserve this company? Why do I deserve these people? Why I'm constantly questioning why I deserve something all the time. Like even the people in this room right now, like everyone who's helping me, you showing up, you wanting to be a part of this, like everyone who's pushed this podcast forward. I'm like, why do I deserve this? Why am I doing this? And I face that internal battle constantly. And it's just at the point of it where I have no more fight to face it. Like I have no more in me to be like, oh, you're not good enough. I'm like, shut up. And something that we talked about last season was why not me? Like, why not me? And I think that's the voice I'm trying to quiet, because I'm always tearing down all the confidence I have and only shooting negative things through my mind. And I'm at the point of my life where I don't want to do that anymore, because it's not helping me. It's not pushing me forward, and it's actually pushing me backwards. It's so easy to get caught up in that bullshit and get caught up that I'm not good enough. Why do we constantly tell ourselves that? Like, why is it helping us? Absolutely not. And that's on period.
And that is on period. Insecurity in the workplace is a killer.
Who is it a killer? But I want to pull this little question out from the bottom.
Oh my God, not the boot though.
Not the big old question. So the last guest asked the next guest a question.
Okay.
And it's just fun to have you guys like tie together and be a part of each other, even though you don't know. Well, you met Claire briefly.
I love.
And she was fabulous. But she asked you, what is your dream? And what steps are you actively taking to achieve it?
Oh my God, fuck. Why the fuck?
Let's show her. Let's show the question. Look at this nice handwriting. We love it, love it, love it.
Cue card. Oh my God, okay. It's an age-old question, and it is something that I think when I was younger I had the answer to, and as I've gotten older and even in the past year, it is becoming decreasingly clear to me what the answer to that question is. I think this is so cheesy. My dream is just to be happy and fulfilled in what I'm doing, because I think right now what I'm really interested in and what I could see myself going into in the future is I'm really interested in how entertainment is managing AI right now, and how that's going to be perceived, and how lawmaking is going to be perceived. I'm interested in like the FCC and the political entwinement with Washington, D.C. and Silicon Valley and Wall Street and Hollywood. And so I don't know. I could see myself going back into journalism and being an entertainment reporter. I could see myself going down the strategic comms path, which is kind of what I'm doing now. So I don't know, but I do know that the common theme is that I do need to feel that what I'm doing is making some sort of a positive impact, and that I feel good like walking away every day from work, knowing that what I did benefited someone or benefited a whole in some capacity. And so I don't know. It's a question that I'm figuring out still. And it should be so easy to answer. I used to say I wanted to be a meteorologist, and then I said I wanted to be a journalist, and then I said I wanted to be a producer. So I guess it changes. I don't know.
Fulfillment's such a hard question for me. So sometimes I ask myself, like, what even does that mean? And like, what does that look like to Claire? And what does that look like to Jack? Or two very different things. And like how you feel that is so different. So it's like fulfillment is such I feel like a grand question that I'm trying to understand right now in my life.
Right. And I feel like I know the things that I like, and I know the things that I could dream about keeping for the rest of my life. I like walking around the Grove. Hate to admit it. Thanks, Rick Caruso. I love walking around the Grove and listening to the jazz. Love it. I love sitting down at AMC and clapping for Nicole Kidman when she comes on screen. I love it. And so I want to make sure that my life will always be connected to that environment. Like I'm sorry, like I just like have to be part of it in
simple
some capacity.
Pleasures. Yeah.
It's the simple pleasures, right? You know, there's all kinds of those like things that of course will change over time, but outside of work, I know what I like and what I don't like. And I just want to make sure that ideally what I'm doing for work is in some way connected to the things that I like outside of work. Otherwise, you know, there's a separation that isn't really worth it to me. I don't think we're on this earth to like just like make money and like add zeros to the end of our bank account and like fucking like retire and go to a nursing home and die. Like that's not the point of life. And so the point of life is being happy. And there's a lot of people in this industry that are not happy. And a lot of the people that are not happy it's kind of like an inverse relationship where as you progress in your career in entertainment, you become less fulfilled. And that's a scary thing. And misery is like not the vibe. That's like not the vibe for me. And so if at any moment my dream, my quote unquote dream job ends up resulting in me being miserable, that's no longer my dream. I have to pivot. There's like literally no other way. There's no other way. That's not the point of life. At the end of the day, like nobody wants to be sitting in their deathbed looking back and thinking that was a shit life. That was the things that I did were cool, but my life is miserable. You can't do that. And that isn't to say that entertainment is like that necessarily. There are obviously so many ways that you can find happiness and fulfillment in the industry, but you have to be careful because there's a lot of paths that have been preset that somebody else did and it worked for them, and it might not work for you, and that's okay.
You can't get too caught up on the end goal.
Nope.
You are saying things. Like, you are not speaking hot air right now. Like, you are saying things, and they're truly speaking to me right now and resonating with me right now. And I think that's something that I will take away and like appreciate. But I want you to leave a question for the next guest. What is something, you don't know them, you don't know who are coming by, like what is something that you want to ask the next person?
If you and your boss could switch places for a day, what would you do differently in terms of running the team, in terms of treating your subordinates, and what would you do the same?
I love that. That's a great question.
Little Beyonce.
I love that.
Little if I were a boy.
If you were a boy, if you flipped the situation, how would you handle it? How would you treat the people around you? I think that's a beautiful question.
It's important to think about, because in theory, as an assistant or a coordinator, you're still like, you're like an apprentice. You're like training under somebody. And in theory, you will pick up on their traits, both positive and negative. And so sometimes it's good to think about like, okay, if I'm in your position, which of these things that you do will I do the same way, and which will I do very differently because it's fucked up?
Yeah, it's like when I have kids, how am I going to parent differently? You know what I mean? Like when I'm a mom, like the things that you think
Fuck the kids.
You
I'm
know?
sorry.
Fuck the children, fuck the kids. Jack, I knew I wanted you on this podcast for a reason, because you said something to the intern that worked in your department, and it resonated with me because I thought about it with you. You said you're not afraid to show your intelligence, because a lot of people are. And
he is.
And I think you're
It's
the same.
important.
You have so much like intelligence and so much to say, and you just look at the world in such an interesting way, differently than me, from an interesting POV. And so it's like, I fully feel like I got to tap into the things that I am not privy to, because we like, you know, we yap about stupid shit and like fun vibes.
But we also
and,
yap about really like deep shit too.
Yeah, deep shit. But it's like seeing this side of you and seeing all of those things that I'm not aware of, and I can't, you know, I'm not in your workflow. So it's like you said that to him, and I thought of you, and I'm like, I'm not always able to see your intelligence and like your, you know, like your wisdom and your life experience. And I feel so grateful that I was able to have that today, because now I feel
Don't
like
dismiss yourself like that.
Why?
You are one of the smartest people ever.
Oh,
You're
damn.
so fucking witty. No, and you
Shit.
know it.
Okay, I
You
did
know
not
it.
mean to
No,
get a
and you know
compliment
it.
back from that.
No, and you know it. That's why I love you so much.
This is just a love fest, my people. We're gonna get off this and do some booty boot shit. The boot is down a Twitch. The boot is going to Twitch after. Okay, I should get off of that. We should stop. Okay, my mom watches this. We might have to edit that out. But anyways, I just want to say thank you. And it meant a lot to me that you showed up and you're here and you spoke some words that have power and resonated with me. And I really, really, really appreciate you. And like, you've made me feel very seen. And with that, it's a blessing to be seen, and to be seen is to be loved. And I feel your love, and I feel the way that you make me feel. And like, yeah, you make me feel seen in my sanity, and like my sanity feels okay. And so because of that, I give you a thank you here and forever. And I hope you know that is how I feel about you. I adore you.
And people always say in this industry that it shrinks, and you will always be able to like say, oh, you can call up somebody who you met when you were working as an assistant in an agency, and like, you're one of those people for me.
A lifetime to go, my friend.
An
A
OG.
lifetime. An OG. We started at the bottom and now we're here. That was a bad one. Couldn't think anything else. Thank you, Jack. It was a pleasure. It was a treat. And
Thank you.
I'm excited for the future. We
Me
have
as well.
multiple memories to make. Many. Killed that shit.
Yay. Is that all?
That's it.